Hello. So we are going to do a composition of transformations. All that means is that we're going to do several transformations in a row, and they might be different types as we go. So first of all, this particular worksheet, when we do it in normal class, we do it as a little partner activity, which is kind of fun. Obviously, we can't do that here. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to plot the 4 points, A, B, C, and D. So please pause and do that. Be careful. Welcome back. So you're going to do A at -9, 4. I believe these grids are 10 by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they're 10 by 10. So -9, 1, 2, 3, 4 is A. Maybe I'll do it in a different color. So there's A. B is at -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. And then C is at -4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. Here's C. And then D is -5, 2. And there's D. Okay, so here's our quadrilateral that we're going to start with. And we're going to call that number 1. Okay, we are going to take that quadrilateral and we're going to reflect it across the line x equals a -2. So you do have to remember which direction these lines go. X equals -2 is a vertical line at -2. Okay, so maybe I'll highlight that for you. So you're going to have a vertical line at -2, which is right here. So here is x equals -2. All right, so when you have a vertical or a horizontal line, the easiest way to do that is just count the squares to the line and then go the exact number of squares on the other side of the line. So for example, C here would be pretty easy, and I'll do this in a different color, do black. But C is 2 squares away from the line, so you go count 2 squares, and that's where C prime would go. Okay, D is 1, 2, 3 squares away, so you go 1, 2, 3, and then there is D prime. A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares is A prime. And then B is 1, 2, 3, and then you go 1, 2, 3, and B prime. Okay, connecting all of those. Main thing you'll notice about a reflection is that now the points are reversed. So A was on the left before, now A is on the right. Okay, so you reverse them across that line of reflection. So this is number 2. So that was number 2. Translate number 2 using the translation vector. So a translation is when you just slide the shape. The vector 3, -5. So on 3, -5, what that tells you to do is to go, so remember that first number is left or right. So I'm going to go right 3, and then that second number is up or down. So -5 means I'm going to go down 5. And you do that with every single point. So here A prime, because you're starting from number 2 to get number 3. So I'm going to go right 3, 1, 2, 3, and then down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's A double prime. So pause and do the other 3 points. Okay, welcome back. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 4, 5, and there's B double prime, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's D double prime, and then C, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then connecting all of those. And that would be shape number 3. Okay, with a translation, notice that going from number 2 to number 3 doesn't change the orientation of the shape. You simply slide it over and down. Part D, what is the rule that is equivalent to the translation vector from part C? So basically, what is the rule that represents these directions, right? 3 down, 5. So the notation is slightly different for a rule. You start with these points, and then what you do to those points is I'm going to add 3, and then on the y, I'm going to subtract 5. But these are equivalent directions. So this direction with a vector is the same as this direction for a rule. Those are equivalent. They will do the same things. Okay, last thing, mapping practice. So mapping practice, we're going to go from A prime. Well, A prime was number 2. And then we're going to go to A double prime, which was number 3. So basically what we're going to do is take this direction here and we're going to map it. Okay, so A prime here is counting over, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to start at 5, 4. Maybe I'll do that in black. So I'm going to start at 5, 4. And then you don't even need to look at the graph. You're just going to apply this rule or this vector or this rule, either way, to this original point. So if I apply the vector 3, negative 5, that means I'm going to do 5 plus 3, so that's going to be 8, and then 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. Okay, looking at the rule, same thing, right? You take the 5 plus the 3 is 8, or you take the 4 minus the 5, and that's negative 1. Okay, so pause for a second and try B prime to B double prime using the same directions. Okay, welcome back. So B prime here is at 1, 8, and therefore B double prime, applying this vector, you do 1 plus 3, which is 4, and then 8 minus 5, which is 3. And then you can just double check that that is correct. But over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1, 2, 3. So that checks out. Okay, so we're just using a bunch of different types of translations and notation and practicing those. All right, number 2. So we're going to plot the points E, F, and G. So please pause and plot those on your own on this second graph. Okay, so E is at negative 7, 4. So I go negative 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's E. 0, 2, so that means I go across 0 and up 2 is F. And then G is at negative 4, negative 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And there's G. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my triangle. Oops. As best I can. All right, so there's my triangle. That is, we're going to label it number 4 here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is rotate. Rotate number 4 180 degrees clockwise about the origin. And we're going to label that number 5. That is actually pretty difficult for most people to do, just visually. So I'm going to encourage you to use the rule whenever you have to do a 180 degree rotation. So try to look up where your rules are. Let's see, they were on page 31. So if you want to grab your packet and look at page 31. So 180 degree rotation is the same as a double reflection. and that's a reflection over the x-axis and the y-axis. So if you looked up the rule says to simply change the sign of both points, of both coordinates of the point. So you take x, y, and you change it to negative x, negative y. Okay, so that's easy enough to do. So E is what we're starting with, so that's going to be negative 7, 4. And then E prime, you change the signs. So I get 7, negative 4. Okay, that's all you do. So take a minute and pause and do that for F and F prime and G prime. Okay, so for F, we're at 0, 2, and therefore F prime. So changing the sign of 0 doesn't do anything, so you just recopy it, but you change the sign of the 2. G is negative 4, negative 2. So you're going to change both signs to positive 4, positive 2. So graphing those, E prime is at 7, negative 4. So I go here to 7 and go down 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's E prime. Okay, F goes to 0, negative 2. So down here to negative 2, that's F prime. G prime is 4, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2. And that's G prime. Okay, so here is the 180-degree rotation, or in other words, a double reflection. Okay, and then this is number 5. So what you want to notice, you can actually do this with your paper. You can actually rotate your paper upside down, and that'll show you that these are 180-degree rotation. But rotate it back oriented like this, and then we're going to go to the next one. So use the following rule to change number 5 to form E double prime, E, F double prime, G double prime. So this rule, again, you're simply going to change, it's a different rule than what we just did. You're going to change the sign of the Y value from E prime. So E prime is 7, negative 4. And so I am simply going to apply this rule to this point. So I keep the 7 and I change just the Y. Okay, so again, just be careful. You are taking this point and this point, but fill in the mapping here. So pause and do that. Okay, welcome back. So you have 0, negative 2 there, and 4, 2 here. And applying this rule, we are going to get back to 0, 2, and then 4, negative 2. So you keep the X, change the Y, according to this rule. Okay, plotting those points. So 7, 4. So you go across 7, and you go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's E double prime. Okay, 0, 2. So I'm just going to circle that because it's the same point as before. And then 4, negative 2 is right here, G double prime. Okay, and then that would be number 6. So going from the black triangle to the red triangle, describe the transformation that's equivalent to that rule in part C. So pause and do that. So what happened from the black triangle to the red triangle was a reflection across the x-axis. Now, if you were going to actually name the line, the equation of the line would be y equals 0. So a horizontal line, or the x-axis right here, maybe I'll highlight that, this x-axis, just remember that actually has an equation of y equals 0. So y equals 0 is the same as the x-axis. Okay, well, good job. We'll get to the reflection line in class.